A note to listeners, the following podcast contains content that may not be suitable for all audiences.
Yeah, I heard one time I was sitting outside of his room. He had the door open, and he was playing with this ice pick. He played this tape of this girl screaming and yelling.
Wait a minute, you heard
it was just an actress and stuff like that, you know. I was like, okay. Yeah.
Wait, stop for a second.
Wait a minute, so you must have...
What tape was that, Laura?
The Gilliam tape. So
The Jackie Gilliam tape?
The Jackie Gilliam tape, it's never been recovered. This is where it's in with the buried evidence, the location he gave. But yeah, he played this tape for the teenagers. And you're about to hear exactly what he did when he played that tape, Valerie tells us. She would actually go sit with them outside the motel, like at night. Like she said, she had a very abusive child, household. So she would go sit over there with them almost every night. And she was getting inside the van and she put her hand to reach to go in. And she reported to me that she felt something wet. And she looked down and her hand was covered in blood. And she looked over to her side and there was an ice pick with blood on it and some Polaroid pictures. And she said she was scared to even look. She almost thought there was going to be a body. She was so scared. And she said she turned and BITTAKER and Norris were looking straight at her. And she said BITTAKER, the look on BITTAKER's face she was terrified. And then Norris said to her, run. And then he said, I'm sorry. And she just ran.
You are listening to Partners in True Crime. We are your hosts, Rob and Cindy Dorfman. Hi, everyone. If you're enjoying the podcast, please leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcasts, even if it's one word.
And please subscribe to our website, www.partnersintruecrime. Follow us on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram to check out our weekly promos. We're also now on YouTube at Partners in True Crime. If you subscribe to our website, you'll be getting weekly emails from us and all kinds of promotions and things that we don't advertise on the podcast.
We have received a lot of great feedback from everyone lately in support of the work Laura is doing, and we appreciate it. Also, we will be doing another Q&A episode for all your questions, so please reach out to us on our website or social media accounts with questions, and we'll address them on the podcast.
Today, Laura is going to share with us some other interviews she recorded with people who hung out at the Scott Motel with BITTAKER and Norris.
Valerie MIERO and Elizabeth TORRES were in their early teenage years when they started hanging out at the Scott Hotel with BITTAKER and Norris.
Like most of the teenagers who spent time there, they were just looking for a place to hang out, to escape from their troubled home lives.
BITTAKER and Norris just knew how to entice the teenagers with drugs and alcohol and a place for them to pretend to be adults. It eventually became a breeding ground for their victims.
Today we're going to hear Valerie and Elizabeth's last words about that awful time in their lives, and it's quite revealing. Unfortunately, Valerie and Elizabeth are no longer with us, but their words live on.
Hey, Laura, how you doing? You've been traveling a lot.
Yes, all day.
Yeah, so Laura's been on the plane all day. She went back to the Boston area from the West Coast to see her family and her son, all that good stuff. So we just wanted to check in with you and see what's going on with all the offenders you're talking to and give us an update, because I know there's a lot of updates.
Yeah, and also last night you went to an event with Crimes Victim United, which is my friend Nina from college. So I'm really excited to hear what happened there, because I know you had Mark Klass was there and a bunch of people. So
yeah,
I want to hear what happened.
It was Rob and I, we got to meet Nina, Harriet, her mother, and then Mark Klass. He gave a great speech and we got to, talk to him. And it was really special for me because when BITTAKER actually gave up the bodies of Cindy and Andrea, I contacted his organization. Actually, I wrote him an email and he sent me Stacy, who got me on the topographical maps. And it was the first time I actually got to go up and shake his hand and tell him thank you yeah, it was great.
What was his reaction?
He was I was like, you really helped me. And he's like, I'm so glad we could help you. And, because I had contacted law enforcement and nobody was doing anything. And Mark Klass just kind of came in and they got me on the maps and they were like, what do you need? And they helped me the entire year just so we could get those pinpoints for the exact locations.
So sad. His daughter, Macaulay Klass, had been murdered up in Northern California when I was in college. And one of the first films I ever worked on was a documentary filmmaker who was doing a story about that poor little girl. So beautiful, such a pretty little girl.
Yeah.
And Mark Klass has been doing this work since that tragedy, working a lot with Nina and Crimes Victim United, because Nina lost her sister to a murder. Nina's mother, Harriet, is they're all really advocates for anything to do with missing people or crimes or victims or victim advocacy.
Yeah, no, they do amazing work. So
amazing
also,
work. Yeah.
Did Mark Class say anything about death row being closed?
Yeah. You know, Richard Allen Davis is now his death penalty might be overturned, and he said there's 9,500 other cases right now in California that are being looked at as well.
Wow. And then what does that mean if they overturn his death penalty?
In California right now, I'm seeing a lot of stuff that I've never seen before. Most people have never seen before, you know, getting rid of the death penalty, moving, you know, serial offenders down to level 2. This is really kind of historic what we're kind of seeing. It's never been done before. So a lot of the laws are changing. So I'm not exactly sure what it's going to mean, if it just means it'll drop down to life without parole, or if there's a chance of parole. I'm not sure what, you know, Newsom's plan is overall.
What was Mark's reaction to what did he say? Did he say anything about it in his speech?
Yeah, he said his heart was shattered for a second time in his life.
Wow. As well as a lot of other people, a lot of other victims' families.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
Wow. Well, if people don't know about the Polly Klaas case, we'll have to talk about it in the blog and give a little more information about it. It is a tragic, horrific case, and that man should never, ever get out of prison, ever, for what he did to that little girl.
No. How about any updates from any of the other offenders? Have you been talking to them? I know they've been moved around and their environments have changed. Anything newsworthy to report?
You know, a lot of the ones that are still at San Quentin are actually, they're going to be moving a lot of them actually to Vacaville, which is where a few of them are at now for the serial offenders, which is kind of good if I can get them all in one spot. They seem to have like a lot of open beds at that prison. So it's looking like Vacaville might be a big option. And then the other half is looking at Stockton, which is great because that's only like 45 minutes in between each other right now. Yeah, so it just depends. A lot of the guys have to go for their second committee, which is going to be in the next week or two. So we'll know more about that. But they want, now Newsom wants everybody off by summer.
So it's been sped up.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, there's a weird.
That's all right. Just back off the mic. Okay, cool. Well, today what we're going to do is we're going to listen to some more recordings that you did early on while you were extracting information from Lawrence BITTAKER. And these are two people that spent time around the hotel that were teenagers at the time. And they're no longer with us. They have passed on. To tell us a little bit about, we're going to talk about Valerie first. We're going to play her recording about her experience with Lawrence BITTAKER. Give us a little background on her and what you know about her.
Yeah, Valerie lived right behind the motel. There's like a neighborhood right behind the Scott Motel in Burbank. And, you know, she lived right behind there and she would just go over there and hang out there with her friends. And she's going to tell you, you know, her experience with Lawrence BITTAKER. One of the stories I did hear about Valerie that she confirmed later on that is not in this tape is she actually took one of BITTAKER's guns and shot it off in the room.
Wow.
And scared the hell out of BITTAKER. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What motivated her to do that?
I think she was just playing around. I mean, he did leave those guns out everywhere for these teenagers. Yeah.
Maybe that's why he didn't mess with her.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, we're going to play this, and then if you want to stop it at any time, just tell me to stop it, or if we stop it or something like that. Okay, so we're just going to play it right now. Now, just for our listeners, just so when Laura recorded this, it was off her phone, so the quality isn't great. Tried to manipulate a little bit, but just bear with us here, but we can talk about it.
Scott Motel, her and her family were homeless and stuff, so they lived at the motel. And then my friend Tiffany and I were walking by, and she was very beautiful. And he wanted to take pictures of her, which she said was fine. And he took the camera at me. I said, if you take the picture of me, the camera will be on the floor busted. You know, I have 5 brothers. And one time he gave me a whole bottle of, not a bottle, but a bag of speed. And my mother found him in the bathroom and yelled at me and stuff. Yeah, I heard one time I was sitting outside of his room. He had the door open. And he was playing with this ice pick. He played this tape of this girl screaming and yelling.
Wait a minute, you heard
it was just an actress and stuff like that. You know, I was like, okay. And so, yeah.
Wait, stop for a second.
Wait a minute, so you must have.
What tape was that, Laura?
The Gilliam tape. So
The Jackie Gilliam tape?
The Jackie Gilliam tape, it's never been recovered. This is where it's in with the buried evidence, the location he gave. But yeah, he played this tape for the teenagers. And you're about to hear exactly what he did when he played that tape, Valerie tells us.
Oh my gosh.
And
oh my God.
The other
Okay.
teenagers report this too, what he does while he's playing the tape.
Oh God. Okay.
I've heard the Gilliam tape.
I don't know what I heard. All I know, stop, please don't, stuff like that, you know. So, yeah.
Do you remember if it was just one girl's voice or were there two girls' voices on the tape?
I just heard one.
Wow. Yeah, I think he played you the Gilliam tape. That tape was buried. It's actually never been recovered. But he would play it for different people randomly. But that's crazy. He was just sitting outside playing with an ice pick, and he was playing it.
Well, he was in the room. It was me, my friend Tiffany, Sandy. We were all standing outside of the room. The door was open. There's like a step, and you step into the room. I was sitting on that step, and they were leaning up against the van, and he was playing it. It was in his room, and he was playing with the ice. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Is the girl Sandy, was that Sandy Horn?
Why was he doing? What do you think that was all about?
I think he was reliving it, twirling the ice pick, playing that tape.
Wow.
With the teenagers, yeah.
And that's a pattern with these serial killers.
I mean, these
It's really
are
interesting that he would play that piece of tape to these young people. I mean, pretty brazen.
Very brazen. Very brazen.
What did he say about that when he was doing that? What was he trying to do? Was he just, it was a kind of he was just kind of bragging in a way that just, or you just wanted to see kind of a reaction?
Kind of both. You know, it's a way to brag. It's also a way to, you know, it is their trophy. And it's they're also getting off on like, oh, these teenagers don't know what I'm doing. And then twirling the ice pick like right in front of them, watching their reactions, you know.
Did he ever have a thought about possibly converting one of these teenagers to help to kind of join him and Norris in their killing and their torture?
They did try with Joe Jackson, and they tried with a guy across the street at the motel, living at the motel, named RJ. They tried to recruit him in too.
But I was talking more in respect to the teenagers, anybody that he'd like to groom to, you know, because it's for him, because his ego is so huge.
Big.
And if he was doing stuff like this, where he's playing the murder tape and kind of playing with the ice pick, it almost seems like he's trying to desensitize them in a way, and maybe them asking the right questions and feeling them out to see how they react, to maybe
it's priming. It's almost priming. It's grooming. It is. You know, he reports that he wanted to take Dina as a victim, and he played the tape for her too. RJ is the only one I'm aware of at the motel that he was actually trying to, you know, get on board with him and Norris. But there were a couple of the male teenagers, you know, he would have them make pipe bombs with them, stuff of that nature. But again, you know, this is grooming, this is priming into more serious crime.
Yeah, it's almost kind of like an Oliver Twist thing. You know, he's like the band of thieves or band of people. He just wanted people around him that he's feeling out and that he can possibly train, be a leader to them, see if they're interested in all the stuff that him and Norris are doing. It just definitely, by having all these people, it seemed like it was twofold. It was like they were looking for victims, but they also wanted a group of people around them, and they wanted to share what they were doing.
It's also about control. He wanted to get a reaction out of these girls.
Totally about control. And, you know, sexual sadists are always after the power and control. This was power to BITTAKER. This was control. You know, he had control over teenagers. He had power over these teenagers. Here he is playing a tape of a victim.
He also wanted to see how far he could push it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Did he ever say, when you were talking to him, as they were further along, they just kept on pushing the envelope a little bit further and a little bit further because they kept on getting away with it? Was that, because that to me is a recipe for trying to get caught, when they keep on pushing, and it's almost
they do. I mean, you look at Jackie Gilliam, it wasn't just her, it was Leah Lamp. They took two victims at once. Then they took Lynette Ledford, you know, and she was like pretty much in Burbank. She wasn't from the South Bay, almost like his own backyard. And they don't even drive her up to the mountains. They leave her, you know, in Sunland. So he's pushing the envelope, with each one.
Wow. All right, let's keep on listening.
Hair. She was dating a biker there. Some of the biker over there, Mark or something like that. Yeah, maybe Sandy Horn. She had long red, beautiful hair.
I guess you don't still talk to like anybody else from.
Oh no. I Orville. I don't associate with myself with anybody.
Wow, that's
So
crazy. So were you like close with Bittaker, or you just kind of like he was? I guess
I
like,
was supposed to be like I said. He didn't like me when I told him I was going to put her. And I had my 5 brothers. So.
yeah. So you only like hung out there a couple times. Only did you ever meet Norris?
No, I
have a question. She said she had like 5 brothers. Did they? Oh, how many?
But yeah, 5.
Are you sitting in a hole? What's going on?
No. Sorry. It's better.
Yeah, just tilt it down just a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she had 2 brothers or 5 brothers, she said?
5.
She had 5. Yeah.
Did any of those brothers come to that hotel with her?
I don't think that, no, I don't have any reports of her brothers. She didn't mention any. But she had her best friend, Tiffany, would hang out there, and Bittaker was very obsessed with Tiffany for a while. She was 13, and I've talked to Tiffany, and she reports, this was right before their arrest. She was actually getting in the van. She was actually very close with Bittaker and Norris. She would actually go sit with them outside the motel, like at night. Like you said, she had a very abusive child, household, so she would go sit over there with them almost every night. And she was getting inside the van, and she put her hand to like reach to go in, and she reported to me that she felt something wet, and she looked down and her hand was covered in blood, and she looked over to her side and there was an ice pick with blood on it and some Polaroid picture, and she said she was scared to even look. She almost thought there was going to be a body. She was so scared, and she said like she turned and Bittaker and Norris were looking straight at her, and she said like Bittaker, the look on Bittaker's face was she was terrified, and then Norris said to her, run, and then he said, I'm sorry, and she just ran.
Was that the last time that she was there?
Last time, yeah. And that was, I think she said that was late October, early November, and they were arrested on November 21st. So it was shortly before their arrest.
Why do you think they let her get away?
I don't think Bittaker wanted her to get away.
I think Norris was just, in your experience working with both of them, do you think that Norris was just kind of done with killing and just wanted to?
No, Norris got late. Like, Norris was lazy. Like, if it got, like around like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and they had a victim, he would start complaining to Bittaker, like they have to dispose of the body, and it's like he has work at 6 o'clock or whatever. So he was like lazy with that kind of stuff. It's not.
But why do you think he would tell her to run?
It could be because he was lazy that day, or it could be because, he knew her. They did have a relationship for like months. She was sitting out there every night with them. So.
And she never said anything to the law enforcement at all?
She was never interviewed.
Wow.
How did you find her?
I talked to Valerie, and there was one little mention of an interview with Valerie with police where she said, oh, I hung out with my girlfriend Tiffany. And I was just like, you know what, I'm just thorough. So I found Tiffany. She told me that whole story, and she had never been interviewed by police because they didn't think she was like a critical witness.
Wow. Okay, let's keep on listening.
Yeah, but I heard he had gotten out when I was living in Southern California too. I think or something like that. He was supposed to be getting out, but Larry Bittaker had life.
Yeah, they're both dead now. Did you ever meet a guy named RJ? He lived in the Scotts Motel, like I think it was like diagonally across from where Bittaker was. Yeah, Bittaker had tried to recruit him into like their killing, but he never joined, I guess you could say.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Did you ever go in the van or see the inside?
No. Y'all were open, cleaning it out, stuff, but
that's creepy.
No, he knew why he was always. He loved his van, so I cleaned it out.
I think he was.
That's what we thought.
Right.
The outside, the inside, probably take care of fingerprints and stuff like that. I guess, but and the blood and all this stuff. But yeah.
Wow, that's so crazy. I'm just like, when the tape was like, when he was just sitting there with like the tape, he told you it was like an actress on the tape?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, and he was laughing.
Oh my God, are you serious?
I'm serious. We all looked at him. He was crazy.
Who else was with you? It was Sandy when she heard the tape?
Sandy,
I think I have a Tiffany in the report. I have a Sandy Horn, Tiffany. I do have a Tiffany. I had like a whole list of teenagers' names.
I don't think you have her. Her name was Tiffany Gleason.
No.
Is that the same Tiffany you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, so you did have the right Tiffany.
I did have the right Tiffany, yeah.
Okay, cool. I just want to clarify that.
No, I have you. I have Sandy Horn. I have a Lynette Hunter, Sharon Hunter, Tina Ferconi, Tina Hastings, Carrie Montgomery. Any of those names sound familiar? Next door to Bittaker.
One of the girls, I don't remember her name. She used to live with us. She testified against her, but I don't remember her name. We had the deposition. We had the whole book of it, but it got lost during the move and stuff like that.
Did you ever get called to testify?
No.
That's crazy. It's such a weird world.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a long story, but I had started interviewing BITTAKER and NORRIS. I went to school for forensic psychology, and I had started interviewing them. And it was about 2 years ago, I went to San Quentin to interview him. And he actually grabbed the pen and the paper out of my hand and drew me a map of where the two missing victims are, Cindy and Andrea, up in San Gabriel, and told me where the buried evidence is located. So I actually started just going back, reinvestigating the entire case. Like, I read through all the court transcripts, all the police discovery, and then I just started going one by one through the witnesses, trying to track everybody down. 40 years. It's a crazy case. Yeah.
Are you writing a book?
I am. I'm gonna, like, eventually. I mean, I'm just, going through the investigation of tracking everybody down, but it'll definitely be a book at the end. They want to.
Am I gonna be in it?
You want to be?
Yeah.
Well, I was also going to tell you this, but because of the pandemic, right now everything's on standstill. They want to make a docu-series, kind of like Making a Murder of this whole case, and I want to bring like all the witnesses back from this case and like for the docu-series. But right now everything just closed, all the networks just closed down, so I'm not sure when it's going to happen, but I'll keep you informed going forward.
No, definitely. Please do.
Yeah.
Because a lot of phone calls, that's why I was so rude in the beginning.
I was like, who's calling me?
Yeah.
Your cell phone number? Should I save this as your official
This
number?
is my house number,
Oh,
so it'll always be my number.
Oh, perfect.
I've had it for, 15 years.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
This is did my number show up?
Yeah, your number's 415?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can reach me on here like anytime.
Wow.
Yeah, it's wild. If you think of
Just want to talk a little bit about how you were able to establish a relationship with these potential victims and these witnesses and stuff like that. Like when, was this the first call you had with her? Was it the first reach out?
Yeah, this is the first call with Valerie. Yeah.
Interesting. And then, so
you can
she
see
was
how
pretty
early on it is because I'm asking her, do you know this person, this person?
Yep.
Tina is in there, who we just had on the episode, who also passed away. And then Tiffany, of course. Yeah, so it was very early on. I had to track down these teenagers from 40 years ago. And, I didn't know if they were still in California. They changed their last name for marriage. Had to try to track them down one by one.
Yeah. All right, let's see what else she says. I think there's let me see how much.
Cindy, don't you want to eat stress-free this spring with Factor's delicious, ready-to-eat meals? Every fresh, never-frozen meal is chef-crafted, dietitian-approved, and ready to eat in just 2 minutes.
Choose from a weekly menu of 35 options, including popular choices like Calorie Smart, Keto, Protein Plus, or Vegan and Veggie. Also discover more than 60 add-ons every week like breakfast, on-the-go lunch snacks, and beverages to help you stay fueled and feel good all day. What are you waiting for? Get started today and fuel up on your springtime goals.
Cindy's always worried about what I'm eating, which is why I love Factor, because you can get chef-prepared meals on the table in 2 minutes with Factor's ready-to-eat meals.
Looking for gourmet meals? Try meals that feature premium ingredients like filet mignon, truffle butter, broccolini, and asparagus.
No fuss, no messy meals. Factor meals eliminate the hassle of prepping, cooking, or cleaning. Simply heat and savor the good stuff.
Tailor to your schedule, customize weekly meals with the flexibility to get as much as you need. Pause or schedule deliveries to suit your lifestyle.
Factor is your solution for fast, premium meals without the need for cooking.
We're celebrating Earth Day all month long. Look for Earth Month Eats badge on the menu for our lowest carbon footprint meals.
Head to factormeals.com/PITC50 and use code PITC50 to get 50% off your first box, plus 20% off your next box while your subscription is active.
Hello, partners in true crime. How many of you have become skeptical about custom beauty? I get it. My feed is flooded with customize this, personalize that, all promising to fix my dry skin, split ends, fine lines. But when Pros says custom, they actually mean it. It's not a gimmick. Your formula couldn't exist without you.
Each and every bottle of Pros custom hair and skincare is made to order and personalize with a unique blend of naturally powerful and proven effective ingredients to meet your needs. Their in-depth consultation analyzes over 80 factors for a complete view of your life and beauty goals.
They get personal. Pros covers everything from your concerns to diet, exercise, and stress levels to uncover what's impacting your hair and skin health. They even asked me my zip code to understand how the UV index, water hardness, and the hot, dry desert weather where I live impacts me.
Next, they recommend a full routine of truly personalized products, which are only produced after I place my order. nothing pre-mixed, nothing off the shelf.
And I know from experience that one-of-a-kind formulas equal 1 in a million results. We have really hard water at our house, and since I switched to Pros, I've noticed a complete difference. My hair is softer and stronger, and most importantly, it's not breaking.
But don't just take Cindy's word for it. In a third-party, double-blind, dermatologist-supervised control clinical study, aka the gold standard in research studies, Pros prove that personalization works better than off-the-shelf alternatives.
Try it for yourself and get your healthiest hair in 30 days, or your money back.
Pros is so confident that you'll love your results that they're offering our listeners an exclusive trial offer so you can see the difference custom care can make. 50% off your first subscription order at pros.com/PITC.
That's PROSE.com/PITC for your free consultation and 50% off of your one-of-a-kind formula. Pros.com/PITC.
Hey everyone, if you love reality shows and love to hear all pop culture insider news, you're going to love this podcast.
The Sarah Fraser Show is a daily podcast covering pop culture, reality recaps like Sister Wives, 90 Day Fiancé, and your favorite Bravo shows, plus guests of all kinds. You might learn something too, and a splash of Sarah's own personal life. Hint.
She's trying to have her second baby at 42 and shares every last detail about it, for better or worse.
The Sarah Fraser Show has been featured in the New York Post, Daily Mail, and more.
You might have seen Sarah recently on Lifetime's Married at First Sight kickoff and mid-season show with host Kevin Frazier.
Check out The Sarah Fraser Show today, wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Time. Yeah, we only got a few more minutes, and then we can jump into the other one. Okay, here we go.
Again. Yeah.
Crazy. It's just wild. I can't believe we saw him cleaning out that van, and you saw that tape, heard that tape being played. Wow.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
I was, what, 15?
Wow.
I think I was still a virgin. Yeah, I was 15.
It's crazy that tape you heard, she was a virgin. He wanted to record the rape of a virgin. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm like picturing him playing it for you and laughing. I'm just like, oh my God. It's so chilling.
Yeah.
So chilling. All right. Well, thank you for answering. I really.
Okay, so that's pretty, that had to be pretty revealing for you when you first heard it.
Yeah.
And that, when was that? That was like, what, 2020?
Yeah.
That's terrifying. She was only 15.
Yeah. And then to hear he had the ice pick and he's twirling the ice pick and laughing.
Awful.
Yeah.
So awful. She's lucky she's alive.
Yeah, that's what
She's
I'm
lucky
saying.
she was alive. She's lucky she didn't. You wonder why. Like certain victims he took and certain he didn't.
Yeah.
And there's no reason for that. He didn't give you any inclination as to why.
No. It was just the only thing that really saved them, and barely, was the fact that they hung around the motel. And if they went missing, people would have looked at the motel.
Yeah.
That's true.
But even then, towards, with Lynette Ledford, it didn't seem to bother
she was
him
right there. So
he was visiting her every day at the McDonald's.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm saying. They seemed like they were really walking that tightrope, towards the end, push the envelope. Did he ever talk about, did he know he was going to get caught?
No. BITTAKER thought he was just going to keep going on.
Really?
Because he had started, 20 years ago. His first one was when he was 18. So for him, it was just, he really never thought he was going to get caught. So when he buried that evidence, he really thought because all they had him on at that point was the mace attack from Jan Mallon.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have any bodies at the time, when Joe came forward. So he was just thinking, okay, I'll get, aggravated assault. I'll be out in 3 years and I'm going to go back and get my trophies. That was his plan.
He really thought he was smarter than everybody.
Yeah.
It was an egomaniac for sure.
Yeah.
But he didn't count on Mr. Joe Jackson and then Roy flipping on him.
NORRIS. Yeah.
Well, also the tape, leaving it in the van.
Oh yeah, the tape was the big one. Mm-hmm.
That to me, that's like divine intervention at that point.
That
He was
is
so
divine.
meticulous about everything.
Yeah, they found nothing but that tape from him.
Okay.
Ugh, awful.
All right, who's this other woman? Elizabeth, what's her last name? Kind of tee it up for us, how you met her and what relation is she to the case?
Okay, so I've mentioned her mother in a previous episode. She was the one who, her mother looked up the license plate for Gretchen, who was the girl from the Church of Scientology.
Mm-hmm.
And she was friends with NORRIS and friends with BITTAKER, and they would go and hang out at her place. She had 4 young girls. Elizabeth, who you're about to hear, is the youngest, but her older sister, who was 12 at the time, was one that BITTAKER got very obsessed with, and BITTAKER really wanted to take as a victim. And the mother would let the girls go off alone with him, and he took them to Knott's Berry Farm a lot. And
how was,
her older
remind us
sister-
again how she was able to look up these plates, these license plates?
she was working, I think she was in the bail bonds person, or she was working at the police department, but she had access to look up, license plate. And he had called her and gave her like a whole story that he'd hit a car and he's on parole. He doesn't want to go back to jail. Can he please run the plates just so he can get her the money? She didn't know. So she does. And that's how they find out that Gretchen was going to the Church of Scientology.
Got it. And then what was the mother's reaction when it finally came out that she was allowing her two young girls to hang out with?
4 young girls, actually.
4 young
and
girls.
The 12-year-old did get molested at Knott's Berry Farm. I don't know if she does talk about it in this tape. When Paul Bynum found out that she had let the kids around, because the girls had even said, please, these guys are creepy, we don't want to be around them, and the mom just kept letting them take them. So Paul Bynum found out that this 12-year-old who was molested at Knott's Berry Farm, she had threatened to kill herself because they were going to make her testify. So Paul stepped in. She is not going to testify, but he made her mother come into court and sit in court and hear the Lynette Ledford tape, because he wanted the mother to understand what she had,
What was her motivation for allowing her kids to be with him? Did she use him as a babysitter?
Drugs, money.
Oh, so they were giving her drugs, the mother drugs and money. Wow.
Ugh, it's awful. Those
All
poor
right.
kids.
All right, let's hear what Elizabeth has to say.
BITTAKER Norris story, so I'm sure there's nothing. I haven't heard those.
Sure of it. Yeah, you were telling me that they had it killed where nobody was ever talking about the sister. Or...
Yeah. So you were a couple years younger than.
I was a year and a half. We're almost 2 years apart.
Wow. Did they ever get creepy with you too?
Well, they went and I don't know. Now looking back at how crazy and ignorant and stupid my mom was, but she worked at a girls' mom's office, and I don't know if that's how she met him, by them going out or whatever. But she met him, and all of a sudden they're at our house one day. But it was 3 of them. And the other guy's name was, they called him Red. I don't know ever what happened to him, and
Who's that?
Who's Red?
So, do you want to play the whole tape and then have me say it, or do you want me to spoil
That's
alert
right.
now?
All right, cool. I just wanted to, let's come back to Red.
Okay.
they had told Larry told my mom that he knew how to crack face, and so all she was eating money, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they all decided they were coming over to our house on a daily basis, pretty much. My mom would get off work and she'd have them.
Did she say that Larry told her mother that he knew how to crack safes? Is that what he said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, and that's when she's like, oh, he'll give me money. Is that what the whole, okay. I just want to clear because it's hard to hear and I may have to stop a few times because it gets a little worse as we get on.
Yeah.
Over. And then, I didn't know how my sister talked my mom into they asked if they could take me and my sister to Knott's Berry Farm. And my mother let them, hold on one second. Yeah, please, baby. And so Roy and Larry took me and my sister Colleen to Knott's Berry Farm. And at the time, I'm trying to think if she was 12 or 13 and I was 11. I don't know, but she got on a roller coaster ride with Larry.
Yeah.
And she got off the ride and she goes, I gotta use the restroom. And we went in there, she started crying. She goes, he touched my leg, he tried to rub all in my leg. I go, what are you talking about? She goes, yeah, he put his hands all on the inside of my leg. Tell him that I'm sick and don't know if we want to go home. I said, okay. So I went out there and I said, my sister's throwing up in the ride and she doesn't want to stay, she wants to go home. And Larry's like, oh no, she'll be fine. And Roy's like, no, it's okay, we'll take you guys home. They literally were arguing with each other about not taking us, not. And I said, excuse me, my sister's sick. Roy goes, that's okay, tell her to wash her face and everything, we're taking you home now. And that was the end of that. And Larry the whole way back was giving them, mad looks and me, and he was driving crazy. So we get home, and my sister begged me not to tell my mom. And I knew I couldn't tell her. I always tell her everything, but I didn't tell her. But she said, we'll just never go nowhere with them again. Just don't tell Mom, please. And so my stupid butt didn't say nothing to my mother. So about, a couple weeks went by, and it was going to be Halloween, and they were having a Halloween haunted house. But you had to be a certain height to get in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't reach that height. And so my sister goes, Mom, please let them take me and my friend, please.
And I said, no, because if I can't go, you can't go. And then I started telling him, I'm going to tell Mom, if you don't let me, so you can't go because I'm not going, I don't trust him. But anyways, she went, and I didn't see nothing. And that was the only time, I believe, is when they did that. I don't know if it was one of the last girls, but I think they killed a girl and threw her on a lawn or something. Am I right?
Yeah, the last one.
That was the one, yeah. That was when they had my sister and her girlfriend in the car with them. They dropped them off to do that, and then they went and killed that girl, came back and picked them up and took them home.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so we heard that story before, and but now we know who the girl was that's in the van with her, but they dropped them off.
Keep playing because it gets. I don't want to reveal it yet.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, your sister had told me the story about like Larry like rubbing up all on her, like on the ride and stuff, and saying like,
oh, she did. So
yeah.
She did tell you, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't know you talked to her at all. Yeah, he was sick. And then I think it was Roy's the one that made the jewelry. He made jewelry.
Yeah, they both made it in prison, but Roy kept making it. Yeah, after he was out of prison.
Yeah, he got out, right?
Yep.
Yeah. We've been to Roy's house, me and my sister. We went to his house up in his room, and he showed us all the jewelry and the stuff that he made. And I just remember being home from school, and I never got to stay home from school, but my mom never stayed because I told her I didn't feel good. And Larry come to the front door and knocking on the door, and my mom opened it, and she goes, yeah, what's up? What? You didn't call me or nothing. And he goes, look at Judy, I need to talk to you. I'm in love with your daughter, and I want to marry her. And he pulls out a fucking ring that was the size of to me it looked gigantic. And
So he's a pedophile.
So she was what, 12, 13?
12 or 13, yeah.
And
he
he's
actually
asking the mother if he wants to marry her.
He even offered to pay the mother $10,000 for him to marry her or to keep her a virgin until she's 18.
That's so horrifying. I can't even.
Did you ask him about that?
I did. Oh yeah.
What?
Yeah, and he
what did he say? What was his motivation?
He was like, I loved her. I was obsessed with her. I wanted her. Yeah. He was
like they're not even human. They're like dolls.
Yeah. Yeah. He fully acknowledged. He goes, yeah, I asked the mom $10,000. And if you remember, he tried to give Dina a huge diamond ring too, and said he was going to put her up in an apartment and everything. Yeah.
Mom literally spit in his face. Spit right in his face and said, get the fuck off my porch and I will kill you. Stay the fuck away from here. Stay away from my daughter. She slammed the door and she put a chair or something up against the door and she was shaking. She started to call 911. But then she has friends that were at the police department because she works for Bellsman's office. And she called I can't remember his name, Dick something. Anyway, she told him what happened. And then she called Roy, and she told Roy, you son of a bitch. Well, by then, Roy, as she's getting ready to call Roy, my sister comes running home, pounding on the door. Open, Mom, open. Larry, he was just trying to snatch me in my thing. I don't know what he was doing, but he almost ran us over. He was trying to catch up to me coming home from school. Did she tell you that?
Well, she told me, yeah, he was stalking her at the school. She didn't tell me she tried to, like, grab her in the car.
Yeah, and then, so my mom called Roy and said, you son of a bitch, I don't know what you guys are doing, but I'm calling the police, and this. He goes, don't worry, Judy, I'll take care of it. The fuck do you mean you'll take care of it? I know, I'm going to call. Don't worry, I promise I'll take care of it. I told him that he never touched Judy or Colleen. I would do what he said, but he's not using the word hung up. The next thing you know, there was just police. It was on the news, and they were being arrested.
Wow.
Roy called.
Okay, yeah, the recording kind of breaks up there. We'll try to play some more of it, but just because I guess you're in the car driving at that point. Somebody's driving. And all right, so she had the appropriate mother response, thank God.
Yeah.
When he proposed that to her and she wanted to spit in his face. And then but then later on, then he tried to snatch her.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, this is what Elizabeth said. When I did talk to Colleen, she never told me anything about being snatched. She just said like she would walk out of her school and she would like see BITTAKER in the bushes, like taking pictures of her.
Ugh.
Like right after this conversation he had
just like her walking, to school. Like it was multiple occasions. It wasn't just like one time. Yeah.
He got obsessed very easily.
Very easily.
What's that about?
They all do. Like they have that like stalker, they'll stalk their prey. When Norris was arrested, like he had showed Jackson 8 different girls he was stalking, and he was watching, you know, when they went to work, you know, when they got up, when they went to bed, like every movement.
You know, and back then, you know, in the late 70s, early 80s, we don't have all the tech we have right now. So they had to physically be.
This was, physical surveillance, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's horrible to have a stalker. I had a stalker and it was terrifying. Very scary. Because you don't know what they're going to do. Like, you don't know how far they're going to go. And then you tell the police, and they're like, well, they haven't done anything. Really isn't anything we can do. And then you're living life going, oh my God, is this person following me again?
Right.
It's creepy. It's so creepy.
It's very creepy.
As he was getting up in age and you were talking to them, obviously you talked to him towards the last, 4 or 5 years of his life.
Yeah.
Did he talk about his predator mentality and how he would switch into that mode, or was he always in that mode?
I was just going to say he was always in that mode. Same with Norris. There wasn't like an off switch, you know, even in prison, it'll come out in different ways. Like he would, you know, look at the justice system and he would just file these lawsuits and try to find these loopholes. It's like they're constantly hunting, or they just snitch on other inmates to gain power, to gain control. It just manifests in different way, you know, according to their environment, but it's never really off.
Yeah. But they were both functional people in society too. Like they both had jobs. I mean, you know, Roy was, after he didn't want to be staying out too late burying bodies and getting rid of bodies because he had to go to work the next day. The fact that he had to worry about going to work the next day after he just brutally raped and murdered a young woman. And,
I know.
And, you know, and then Bittaker he had a decent job as like an engineer somewhere, aerospace thing.
Yeah,
you know,
crazy
making
good
lots
job.
of money. They were like functional members of society, but serial killers in plain sight, like right amongst us.
Well, that's what's so scary about the serial killers. You know, it's like, look at them all. I mean, they're like functioning members of society, you know, like BTK was going to church. It's like your next door neighbor. And then it's like,
having a family life. Yeah.
I remember
a helpful neighbor.
Yeah. I remember when we had Carrie Rawson on the podcast last year, spent 2 hours of her talking. And she always said, she goes, he was a really good dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why she was shocked.
It's so shocking. Like, how do you have one
It's like
personality?
a double life. Literally. Yeah. It's a whole separate, like.
Bizarre. Let me see if we can play a little bit more. It kind of breaks up after this, but let me see how much we can hear.
I don't know if he really did.
He didn't, but I mean, he
was happy to find out. My mom?
No, Joe Jackson was the one who went to the cop.
Joe Jackson.
Yeah. The guy you mentioned that the third guy that was with them.
Oh, what's he called?
Well, no, I wanted to know. I don't know who that red could be. Do you remember what he looked like?
Yeah, I can see it. If I seen the picture, I know right away. He was short, he had red hair, and I just know I heard he was involved in shit again.
I think so. I'm going to send you a picture of, and I think if it is this guy, yeah. And you guys were close to Knott's Berry Farm, right?
We were what?
You guys were very close to Knott's Berry Farm, right?
Yeah, we were pretty close. We lived in Long Beach. It wasn't far.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a walking distance, but we were close to it, yes.
Because there's an unknown murder of a girl outside of Knott's Berry Farm that they killed with a third guy, and I have to figure out who this third guy was.
Yeah, I'll be able to spot him right away.
All right, I'm going to send you a picture. Let me know if this is the guy.
Okay, you're going to send it to my phone?
I'll send it to your phone, yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to have to dig it out, but I'll find it.
Okay, yeah. His name was, they called him Red. I can't think of his name, but I would know the picture right away. I can tell you if it was him.
Red hair, by any chance?
Yeah, he had red hair.
He had red hair?
Yeah, red like color.
Yeah.
Like a brownish orange.
Yeah, I think I know who it is. I think I know who it is.
Really?
I think so.
Yeah.
This is starting to all come together.
Because I'm telling you, he was there all the time with them. What?
So, do you eventually reveal who it is in this recording?
No, I actually sent it to her after we hang up. But I was telling her about the Knott's Berry Farm murder, and she said there was a third guy always with them, and she always knew that he was involved, you know, with something with them. And I said, did they ever leave to go to Knott's Berry Farm? And she said, yes, with this third guy. One time they all left the house together to go to Knott's Berry Farm. So I had an idea of who the third guy was. So I sent her the picture, 2 pictures. Right when she said red, I was like, oh my God, is it him? And I sent her the 2 pictures and immediately she was like, that's him. And it was Joe Jackson.
Oh, I didn't know he had red hair.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Wow. So he was doing all the stuff with them.
Yeah. She recognized him immediately.
Wow.
Yes, all the time when they come to our house, and then I just got creepy vibes from him, you know, but I never said nothing, but he was with them all the time, and then one day just wasn't there no more.
Because he was saying, what's interesting is he was telling me, if this is the same guy, he wasn't hanging around them much. That's what he told me.
He was with them all the time.
Wow, this is
All the time.
incredible. I think, yeah.
Because when they got arrested, I thought, why is that other guy with them?
Right.
That other guy, you know, why was he being arrested? Where is he?
Right.
Yeah, it always bothered me. I always had it, you know, watching out the back of my eyes, thinking, is this guy going to come get, you know what I mean? Because, yeah, he was with them all the time. It was like their left arm guy. I mean, he was with them everywhere they went.
So how did he cut a deal? And did you ever talk to you talked to the prosecutor, the DA, I forget the gentleman's name. Did you ever ask him anything about that?
I did. He said he knew nothing about Knott's Berry Farm. And then I contacted Tom Cray, who was Paul Bynum's partner, about Knott's Berry Farm, and he didn't even know about Knott's Berry Farm because remember, Tom was out of that day at work, so it was Paul Bynum's report. And Paul and Tom were so close, so I don't understand why Paul never disclosed it to Tom. And then when I brought it up to Stephen Kay, he said he had no knowledge of the Knott's Berry Farm.
And did they talk to all these people?
I mean, yeah. This is how I got their names from the report.
Exactly. So
it's all
how
from
did
the
they not know
discovery.
about? Did the mother tell him that her daughter was molested by them at Knott's Berry Farms?
Yeah, like her initial reports right in there. And there's the, all the cellmates out of county saying there's a third guy in a Knott's Berry Farm murder. And then BITTAKER admits to it to 2 investigators. I have BITTAKER actually admitting it on paper to 2 investigators about the Knott's Berry and a third guy being there.
Did he name the third guy?
No, the cellmates do though. The cellmates were like, I think his name is Joe.
Well, what's his name? Anthony did. He
Yeah.
basically said he was very matter of fact. He goes, yeah, he was there. He was there with him.
And then Joe Jackson said to Paul, if you go talk to them, they're going to tell you I was involved in a Knott's Berry Farm murder, but it's all bullshit. And then Paul writes, and that's when I chose to end the interview.
Well, he must have given them other details
Yeah.
to basically convict BITTAKER and Norris.
Yeah.
But he was a friend of Norris's, correct? Was he closer
Correct.
to Norris than he was?
Yeah, much closer to Norris.
So we don't know who the victim is from Knott's Berry Farm, but we know that there is a victim.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I sent that piece of evidence to LA County Sheriff guy that I know. Haven't heard back from him. So I don't know if I'm going to.
Yeah.
But in the evidence
There were Knott's Berry Farm tickets taken in at Norris's place.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
you sent me the picture of it. Yeah. So interesting. What else does she talk about here? Do you remember?
I think we just finished it off about Joe and Knott's Berry Farm.
Mhm.
I can't remember the rest of it.
Okay.
But then I
Let's
sent
see
her.
what else. There's only a few more minutes anyway. Let's play it out.
I think I pictured the movies one night. And when he took us to the movies, me and my sister, he gave us both the cameraman, locked the doors, and said, I don't care who walks up, if anybody walks up, you start spraying them in the face and start screaming. And I thought, God, that's weird, He said, I don't care if it's Larry. Start spraying them in the face. And when he told me that, I said, Judy, something's wrong. We can't go to people no more. Why would you tell us to spray Larry?
Yeah. It starts breaking up there.
Yeah.
So who's she talking about that's in the car with them when they went to the movies?
It's either one of the sisters, and there was this girl, Michelle, who was a family friend who also was along in some of the times BITTAKER and Norris took these girls out. And when I talked to her sister Colleen, the first thing Colleen said is she goes, I've wondered my whole life if they killed Michelle. And I said, no, I've tracked Michelle down to the Midwest. She's alive. And she just started breaking down crying because she thought all these years that BITTAKER and Norris had killed her.
Oh, wow.
What a horrible thing to hang on to for all those
Seriously,
years.
it's awful. These poor kids.
Yeah.
And then how long of a period of time are we talking about that from the time that these young girls started hanging out with them to the whole, Knott's Berry Farms things up until they got arrested? We talking like 6 months, 3 months?
Let's see. Well, everything started in January of 79. That's when Norris got out and they started together, and they're arrested the end of November of 79. So
like 10 months.
yeah,
It's quite a period of time. It's a long time.
it's a long time. And then the trial wasn't until 81. So I mean, for those couple of years, they're haunted by all the news stations, and then the trial.
Traumatizing.
Yeah.
Very.
I forgot. I can't remember if I asked you this. I probably did. Is Stephen K still alive?
He is. Yeah.
Is he still in California?
He is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you still have contact with him?
Yeah.
Do you think we can get him on the podcast? I have so many questions for
Me
this
too.
man.
Yeah, because I've asked him about so many more of the murders that I found through the discovery, and he said he had no knowledge of it.
Yeah. Well, it was a monster case for him at the time, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was a different time period. I can't even imagine how overwhelming it must have been.
But I think we really need to talk to him. Because I have so many questions.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you have a ton of questions.
Yeah.
I have a ton of questions, and I'm sure everybody listening has a ton of questions for him too.
Yeah, because you never know what's going on. I mean, these DA's offices, you don't know. Number one, they're overloaded with cases.
Yeah.
Right.
And especially back then, probably and then you don't know what the politics are as far as, prosecuting these cases. And so I'm so interested in how the sausage was made on that prosecution and how they decided to really kind of listen to what Norris was saying and basically hang it all on BITTAKER. And then how the other person, Red, just walked away and basically was able to just say, oh yeah, they're going to tell you about this. He goes, but it's all bullshit. I mean, so he must have given them some pretty extensive information, and I'm sure both him and Norris teamed up to probably pin it more on BITTAKER, because that's what it sounds like.
That's what it sounds like. It does. But there's no formal, record of him cutting, like Jackson Red cutting a deal with them. And I mean, that's the last report we have of Jackson talking with Bynum.
Well, usually, I mean, first guy tells is usually when it gets the deal. So I'm sure they cut him something, but he must have gave them something pretty big to avoid any jail time at all.
Yeah.
So crazy stuff.
Wow.
Well, let's just
Very
we'll
crazy.
work on trying to get him on the podcast, because like I said, tons of questions, and I'm sure I don't know how much he can divulge, but it's been so long, and BITTAKER and Norris are dead. I'm sure he can talk about it.
Yeah. And we have we're gonna have Norris's family has finally agreed to talk for the first time.
Okay, great.
That's fantastic.
That's great. It'd be interesting to him. And who from his family?
His cousin, and I'm trying to get his sister also on.
Okay, cool. And were they close to him?
Yes. The cousin that is going to be coming on, her older sister was the one he attacked when he was 16 and tried to rape.
Wow. Well,
So we're going to hear the details of that.
powerful stuff here. Powerful stuff. I mean, the amount of work you've done, Laura, on this case is pretty crazy.
It's immense.
Extensive.
It's extensive. It's immense. It's 24/7. It's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, even what you're doing right now. I mean, we're not going to talk about exactly what Laura's doing right now, but she's working on reinvestigating a
very
major
extensive
case, very extensive case, and eventually we will talk about what's been going on. But it's a lot.
Yeah, and just for our listeners, we've been documenting a lot of it, shooting video. So we're going to have that available for you guys to see on our website. So but it's exciting work she's doing. It's important work she's doing. And so just stay tuned for more stuff that she's cranking out. And Rob Dick is helping her right now. It's great that they have, I'm glad you have him to help you.
Yeah, me
and
too.
Because, you put yourself in some very compromising positions, and it's good to have, someone who's has law enforcement experience, is private detective, and, he can, he's equipped to handle all these crazy things. So we're happy you have him to help you with that.
Rob is great. Rob is really great.
Yeah.
Yep.
He is great.
All right. Well, listen, go enjoy your time visiting your family, and then we'll check in with you next week.
Please visit our website where you can subscribe to the podcast, find show notes, and check out extra content from all of our podcasts. All rights reserved. This has been a production of 722 Media Content.